Part 6. All Heaven's Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 51. 51 Operation Code, Raccoon City. September 26, 1998, at 17:40 p.m., Commercial Street, Raccoon City. In a luxurious hotel on the side of the street, Huang Xianzheng, who was wearing a fur-collared overcoat and a slim-fit shirt as always, was sitting on the sofa with a big horse. And his 3 teammates are also fully armed. The chunky man is checking the trigger of the assault rifle for the last time, the bald middle-aged man holds a pair of knives in his hands, and the young man with the disheveled hair is tinkering with several drones. On the sofa opposite them, sat 2 beautiful women. One of them is obviously Rebecca, while the other woman is much taller than Rebecca, who has a soft face and a relatively delicate body, and her face is more heroic. She has short blonde hair and is wearing a light blue short skirt. If someone who is familiar with Resident Evil can immediately recognize her, she is Jill Valentine, the heroine of Resident Evil 3. Tell me, your plan. Jill looked at Huang Xian and said coldly. Because of Umbrella's inhumane behavior, Raccoon City will have a virus leak, and more than 100,000 people will die as a result. Huang Xian said lightly. I know this. It's happening now. Jill stood up abruptly, opened the curtain angrily, and shouted, pointing at the street. On the street, thousands of zombies crowded side by side. They kept making meaningless roars, and walked forward along the sea of corpses while shaking. You know these things, but you let yourself go and let such a tragedy happen in front of you? How do you want me to believe you? Jill said sharply. Huang Xian crossed his hands on his chin, and said slowly, in fact, there are not a few people who are aware of this. A few days ago, you also saw those people shouting and even handing out leaflets on the street. They were all arrested, entered the police station and locked up in the detention center. After the epidemic really broke out, the police were exhausted, and no one cared about them. How high do you think the possibility of them surviving? Jill said with a gloomy face, I'm a policeman too. So is Rebecca. Are we different? The chunky man sneered and said, police. Don't you know that your police chief, Brian Irons, immediately found an excuse to disband S.T.A.R.S after the mansion incident? Now you are just a group of stragglers, what can you do? Huang Xian added, the tragedy that happened here was ultimately caused by Umbrella Corporation, but it happened because of many factors. For example, Mayor Michael Warren, who cut off traffic and communications, such as Police Chief Brian Irons, who secretly hindered the police rescue work and suppressed all the news. For example, we have experienced the mansion incident, the sewage treatment plant incident, and the Zodiac train incident, the chain reaction of the series of events, which eventually caused Raccoon City to become the hell it is today, and we cannot stop all of this. As he said that, he leaned back on the back of the sofa, looked at the ceiling and said, fate is such a wonderful thing, even if we want to escape from here and leave Raccoon City far away, fate will still happen in a series of coincidences. Come on, let us finally come back here and face this hell. Then go back to the original question, what are you going to do? Jill's tone softened a bit. In her opinion, those who insist on staying in the face of such a dire situation are all courageous. Destroy Umbrella Company, destroy everything. Huang Xian said lightly. Right here? Why do you? Jill asked back. According to my information, Umbrella Corporation built a large-scale research institute underground in Raccoon City, and one of the biggest sources of infection in this virus spread incident is there. There are also many secrets of Umbrella Corporation there. As long as we get the information there and make it public, then Umbrella Company will definitely die. Huang Xian said. Jill frowned and said, then go. Huang Xian shook his head, that underground research institute is very secretive. The only secret entrance I know of through various sources of information is at the Raccoon City police station. As for the police station, you know that since the police issued a notice yesterday, after all the survivors took refuge in the police station, it has become the place where the zombies gather most densely. Therefore, we can only wait and wait for the corpses to disperse. Zombies are most sensitive to sound and the smell of blood, so when the resistance of the police station is disintegrated, the corpses will be attracted by the sound and smell of blood from other places, and they will scatter. That is our chance. Added on the side. Jill nodded slowly, sat back on the sofa, held Rebecca's shoulders, and the two whispered. Raccoon City Police Department. Now the streets around the police station have been crowded with countless vehicles, and those are the cars of people who drove over to take refuge. These vehicles blocked the intersections layer upon layer, and some even got stuck on sidewalks and green belts. Apparently, some drivers panicked and wanted to drive over, but instead caused their car to get stuck. And in the middle of these vehicles, zombies are crowded, and these zombies are so crowded that they can't see the end at a glance. They were covered in blood, their flesh was torn to pieces, and their faces were extremely hideous. A meaningless roar came from the rotting mouth, and the blood-stained hands stretched forward, trying to grab every living thing in front of them. There were so many zombies that even the cars parked on the road were pushed, and some survivors hiding in the cars were dragged out after the glass was smashed by the zombies and bitten to death alive. The shrill screams kept ringing out, and blood and corpses became the only theme in the surrounding blocks. On the side of the police station, hundreds of police officers, SWAT teams, and more civilians took up anything that could be used as a weapon to resist desperately. Boom. Boom. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Countless guns fired non-stop, pistols, shotguns, and even air guns, all weapons that could hurt zombies were all on the field. Although Police Chief Brian Irons locked the weapons storage, officers pried open the door and pulled out a large quantity of weapons and ammunition. Moreover, in the process of helping the surrounding civilians return to the police station, they also searched for all weapons, including some gun shops, which made the firepower of these survivors much stronger. But it's too late. There are too many zombies. Although the zombies are crowded together, they can almost guarantee 100 shots if they shoot randomly, but those zombies are not afraid of bullets at all. No matter how many bullets hit the body, even though the smelly blood splashed everywhere, it couldn't stop them from advancing at all. Unless they were headshot by a bullet, or split in two by more bullets. And how many people can really shoot their heads off? Even the vast majority of policemen can't do it, let alone those civilians who rarely touch guns. In this despair, there is still a glimmer of hope. I only saw two figures flying like butterflies, tossing and turning at high speed among the zombies. The places they passed were cold, and the heads of the zombies were chopped off one by one. They were two young girls. They were dressed in ordinary clothes, but they held a simple Chinese longsword in their hands. Not only were they superb in swordsmanship, but their strength, speed, and endurance far surpassed that of ordinary people. They were among the corpses. After killing several times, I came back to rest. It is precisely because of the efforts of these two girls that the survivors barely maintain their line of defense, desperately waiting for the support that may never come. Sisters Ling Yu and Ling Xiao, their names are also deeply remembered by the survivors, and they are regarded as heroes. September 26, 1998, at 21:20 p.m. The order to attack is finally issued. U.S.S Delta Squad. Immediately dispatch to Raccoon City. Your goal is to destroy all the evidence of Umbrella's experiments in Raccoon City and ensure that the company will not be accused of the Raccoon City incident. This is your reprove your worth opportunity. After the task is completed, each of you can get a bonus of $3 million. Don't let the company down. Operation Code, Raccoon City. Let's go now. Thanks for the reward of 100 starting coins under the white moon. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 52. 52 Into Hell. The A-60 helicopter flew by in the night, just like the name of this helicopter, Nighthawk. Under the darkness of night, Raccoon City appeared in front of Chunyuan and the others. Looking from the air now, there are still dots and lights in the city, and the city's power supply system is still working. But if you look carefully, you can find that many places in the city are ignited with raging flames, billowing thick smoke straight into the sky. I can only go here. The US military has begun to establish a no-fly zone near Raccoon City. I can't stay for too long. I will fly the helicopter to the vicinity of the Acre Mountains and wait for your signal. Klein, who was driving the helicopter, said. No problem, let's start to act. Looper pulled down his helmet mask, turned his head and said loudly to Chunyuan and others, okay. $3 million per person. Whether we can get it depends on our strength. Take out everything I have taught you. Everyone pulled down their masks, Rupier opened the hatch, and the howling night wind immediately rushed in. Beltway let down the rope from the side, and one by one they grabbed it and slid down. The place where they landed was a basketball court, but the surrounding barbed wire had long been torn, and there were still spots of blood on it. One of the baskets also fell to the ground, with several mutilated bodies hanging from it. A few crows hovered in the air, quacking from time to time, as if they were very dissatisfied with the group of uninvited guests who disturbed their meal. The Delta team reports that we have landed in Raccoon City, and we are now sending coordinates. Looper said, taking out a small personal terminal and clicking a few times. Very good, Delta team. Now you have to find the way to the City Hall, enter Michael Warren's office in the City Hall, and destroy all evidence. In addition, no one can be left alive during the operation. Especially the Raccoon City police. The police from the bureau must ensure that none of them stay and kill them all. The stern voice of one of the company's top executives, Christine Henry, came through the communication. For some reason, the commander who had been in contact with the U.S. did not speak. The helicopter roared away, and the surrounding environment began to gradually quiet down. At this time, the gradually clear footsteps and roars around had begun to reach everyone's ears. Transfer immediately, the sound of the helicopter has attracted the zombies. Chunyuan said. He took out the MP-5 with the silencer installed from behind, and turned on the thermal imaging device on the helmet. Sure enough, there were already shadowy figures staggering around. There are several directions. Go. The City Hall is in the north. Four Eyes, who was in charge of analyzing the battlefield, said, and immediately ran towards the north. Everyone immediately followed without saying a word. The U.S. team moved very fast. They ran fast, even on terrain full of garbage and obstacles. Their speed could not be affected at all. More than a dozen zombies had already walked over in front of them, and began to slap the barbed wire, making a rattling sound. Chunyuan put the submachine gun on his cheek, and fired a burst of fire, knocking down 2 or 3 zombies immediately. He grabbed the barbed wire fence without slowing down, and turned over in a few steps. He pulled out the dog-leg machete while still in the air, and slashed the knife as soon as it landed. The black blade was almost invisible in the night. There are more and more zombies on the street ahead, and their goal is very clear, which is this open-air basketball court. Let's go. Looper yelled, picked up the MP-5 submachine gun and fired a series of short bursts. Each burst can kill a zombie's head. Four Eyes and the others also started shooting. They didn't shoot indiscriminately, but cleared a path in a very targeted manner. Each of them was armed with a suppressed MP-5 submachine gun, which was also highlighted at the previous meeting. Although the weapons each of them are accustomed to using are different, but this time they are on a mission in Raccoon City, and everyone must take an MP-5. On the one hand, the silencer of the MP-5 is very effective, which can minimize the gunshots and prevent more zombies from being attracted during the battle. On the other hand, it can also make it easier to get supplies. The gunfire kept ringing, and each of the 7 U.S.S team members was in charge of shooting in one direction, and the zombies approaching fell down like mowing grass. Along the way, they didn't see any living people, some were just zombies, all zombies. The wreckage of cars littered the streets, many of which were still burning. I only saw a few burning figures walking out of the flames, and Bertha in that direction shot all of them headshot without hesitation. Shops on the side of the road, sewer outlets on the ground, and even inside some cars, zombies may rush out of almost every place and every corner, making it hard to guard against. Chen Yuyan raised his knife and chopped down a few zombies that rushed out from the nearby houses, then turned around and asked, "Four Eyes, how far are we from the city hall?" Our landing site is about 500 meters away from the city hall in a straight line, but there are too many obstacles along the way, and we have to make a detour. But as long as we pass this street, we can go to the back door of the city hall. Looking at the electronic map with Four Eyes said on the side. "You can't go this way. We have to go around," the ghost said suddenly. He unfolded the eyepiece on his helmet, like two snails' tentacles. Under the high magnification and night vision function, he saw a double-decker bus in the middle of the road not far ahead. On the other side, there are at least 1,000 zombies gathered in the dark. These zombies bumped into the bus woodenly, causing the bus to shake continuously. And attracted by the sound of the helicopter just now, more and more zombies gathered. They crowded forward, no matter what they could not stop their footsteps. Even if they encounter obstacles, they will continue to move forward and squeeze forward until the obstacles are squeezed away. All of a sudden, there was a loud bang, and the bus was pushed down. As the bus fell, a mass of black zombies also fell down, and then they began to slowly get up again, roaring and moving forward. Attracted by the sound of the bus falling to the ground, more zombies climbed out of the dark shadows. This way, the direction of the underground parking lot. Four Eyes pointed to a fork in the road and said loudly. Beltway didn't go over right away. He took out 3 anti-personnel mines with laser trip wires from his backpack and placed them on the wreckage of the car on the road. Then he followed Chen Yuyan and others and ran towards the other side. Boom! 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 3 huge explosions resounded through the sky, and at this time, Chen Yuyan and the others had already entered the underground parking lot. There are not many zombies here, or rather, the zombies nearby have been attracted by the explosions of helicopters and landmines. Thank you for the 1000 starting point coins rewarded by a handful of small worlds. Thank you for the 500 starting coins that can't be erased and rewarded with pain. Thanks to Fenjai Biaofi and Book Friend 201912081424318845 for the reward of 100 starting coins. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 53. 53 Tragic Scene. Tap, 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 the sound of light footsteps echoed in the empty underground parking lot. There was no one here, and the zombies were all attracted by the noise outside, but at the same time, it also gave this place boundless silence and darkness. The main gate of this building should have been turned off, so except for the green escape light at the foot of the wall, which was still on, the rest of the building was completely dark. All kinds of cars were crowded in the aisle, and there was almost no room for them to step down. Chen Yuyan and the others had to climb over the roofs of the cars again and again. To conserve power in their helmets, none of them used their night vision gear and switched on their tactical flashlights. Within the limited illumination range of the flashlight, what I saw was tragic. Almost every car was covered in blood, with bloody fingerprints, splashed blood, and a pool of blood that looked like a puddle. Many cars contained the remains of corpses, most of which were bitten to pieces by zombies. Chen Yuyan looked over and saw a dead body was hanging on the window of the driver's cab of the vehicle. He was still tied with a seat belt. He should have been dragged out after the zombie broke the glass of the car, but he was caught by the seat belt and could not be dragged out. So he kept this posture with his upper body hanging outside the car, and was ripped open by the zombies alive. His internal organs were eaten up, his neck was bitten off, and only a few pieces of flesh were left to hang his head. The corpse's mouth was wide open, almost exceeding the limit of human mandible opening, and the nails also left deep digging marks on the car door, which shows how painful and terrified he was when he died. Most of the corpses here died within a day, so the air was filled with the strong smell of blood that couldn't be melted away. There is an elevator in front. If the power supply of the elevator is also cut off, then we can also climb up from the elevator shaft. In this way, we should be able to bypass the tide of corpses, but, Four Eyes said half, and suddenly Victor pulled a hand. "SHH, over there." Victor made a silent gesture, then pointed to the side. Chen Yuyan immediately took a photo of the tactical flashlight, and suddenly found that there were more than a dozen zombies gnawing on several corpses on the ground. Sensing the light of the flashlight, several of the zombies suddenly turned their heads, and there were still freshly bitten flesh hanging on the shattered faces. "Don't use the gun, Zero." "Victor," Rupier said. Chen Yuyan immediately understood what Mother Wolf meant. He pulled out the Gurkha saber, stepped over a sports car in a few steps, rushed over and jumped up, and cut off the heads of two zombies almost as soon as they landed. At the same time, other zombies also heard the noise here, and turned around and rushed over. Chen Yuyan kicked one of the zombies' legs, and swung the Gurkha saber in his hand, killing several more zombies. At this time, other zombies also rushed over, crowding the space around him almost instantly, with more than a dozen hands reaching out and scratching at random. Chen Yuyan blocked the zombie with the titanium alloy plate on his wrist, and the saber pierced a zombie's head instantly from bottom to top. However, there are not only many zombies around, but they are also very powerful. Under the constant grabbing, the strength is 2 or 3 times greater than that of ordinary people. If it is an ordinary person, they will soon lose their balance and be thrown to the ground by them. Even Chen Yuyan couldn't fight against these dozen or so zombies in such a narrow terrain. But it doesn't mean he can't do something else. Before he was caught by the zombies, he kicked his feet very nimbly, and jumped onto the car behind him with a backflip, and the group of zombies all jumped into the air. Almost at the same time as he left, bursts of undetectable knife lights flashed, and 5 or 6 zombies dropped their heads almost at the same time. "It's Victor." Chen Yuyan jumped down again, and the remaining 2 or 3 zombies were completely harmless and were quickly dealt with. Zombies are not something that some people use to gain experience like chopping melons and vegetables. Even this kind of slow-moving zombies can often pose a fatal threat because of their great power and surprising numbers. It is said that it is enough not to be caught by zombies, but when you are full of zombies on the front, back, left, and right, and you are also full of zombies in layers, who would dare to say that? Not to mention anything else, just from the system prompts that have been continuously appearing since yesterday, it can be seen that even experimenters with unique skills will inevitably end up with a large number of deaths in the environment of Raccoon City. From September 24 to today, at least 30 experimenters died in Raccoon City. To be honest, Chen Yuyan himself didn't know how many experimenters came into this world. At least 50 people died after roughly counting the system prompts so far. In fact, judging from the system task survive until January 1 next year, this task is very flexible. According to the experimenter's evaluation of his own strength, those who feel that they are not strong enough can concentrate on figuring out how to survive. As long as you don't think about more gains, there is still hope that you can complete the task. But if you want to get more, you have to fight with your life. A group of people came to the elevator, and the elevator here was cut off. There were still many bitten and fragmented corpses around the elevator. It seemed that they were all victims who wanted to escape but were stuck here. The Delta team crawled down the elevator shaft to the ground floor, then walked cautiously through the interior of the building. Through the glass, you can see thousands of zombies crowded on the street more than 10 meters away, and they are rushing towards the place where the mine exploded just now. They came to the street opposite the town hall, hiding in the shadows and watching from afar. Ghost once again opened his tactical eyepiece, extending like tentacles, which looked a little funny, but it allowed him to find and lock the target at a distance of 1 or 2 kilometers. There are not many zombies around the city hall anymore, and there are many cars crashing together on the street over there, which are burning and blocking the road of the corpse group. We shouldn't have too many obstacles here. He said suddenly after a pause, "Wait a minute. I saw a figure flashing by, very fast. It's definitely not a zombie. It should be an agile human being. Be an experimenter." Chen Yuyan immediately understood. It seems that those ordinary people with extraordinary strength may also be eyeing the evidence of Umbrella Company in the city hall. Humph. How did Michael Warren become the mayor? It seems that the whole world knows that he has secret dealings with the company. Bertha said with a cold snort. I'm just guessing, but how did those people plan? We must all find the evidence as soon as possible. And then, Chen Yuyan didn't finish his sentence. He believed that Rupier had already understood what he meant. No matter who it is, the people there can't be left alive, they must all be killed. Four Eyes said coldly, she has always been full of indifference towards life like this. I'll go investigate first. After Victor finished speaking, he activated the invisibility device on his combat uniform, and his figure disappeared into the air in an instant. Thank you for the 1000 starting point coins rewarded by the Star Sea Rangers. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 54. 54 Echo 6. On September 27, 1998, at 3:20 in the morning, in a small town near Raccoon City. The U.S. military's temporary headquarters responsible for blocking the surrounding area of Raccoon City was set up in a supermarket in the middle of the town, because the square opposite the supermarket was very convenient for storing various supplies. But now in the square, several M101 main battle tanks, M2 infantry fighting vehicles and other heavy equipment are parked, and a large number of us soldiers are fully armed and ready. In a supermarket filled with all kinds of communication equipment and maps, an officer was holding a satellite communication phone and listening silently. After a long time, he put down the phone and said to the other officers and staff around him in a heavy tone, "Now the White House is asking us to evaluate the incident that happened in Raccoon City as soon as possible, and the eyes of the whole world are watching here, and we must not make any mistakes. But even if we have sealed off here for the first time, less than 100 people have been able to escape from the city in the past few days. More than 70 of them have gone crazy in the isolation room, completely irrational, and only know how to bite people crazily," said one of the officers. The communication base stations around the city were also destroyed, and the traffic was blocked. It seems that someone did it deliberately, just not wanting what happened in Raccoon City to be known. An officer next to him said, looking at the chief, and said, "Colonel Miller, shall we send a group of people into the city to have a look? This is too risky. It is now confirmed that a strong virus is spreading inside Raccoon City, and it is very contagious. Is this sending our people in to die? Last time the Delta Force invested more than 30 people in, but none of them came back," retorted another officer. "No. Our technicians have confirmed that the virus is not transmitted through the air, but the cause of the contaminated drinking water. So as long as you don't touch the water and food in the city, there will be no problem. This can already be guaranteed, yes," the officer exclaimed. Colonel Miller thought for a while, then turned around and asked, the Chinese soldier who sent the information last time, Lin Su. He claimed that he had contacted his friends before the virus broke out. He thought that the mayor of Raccoon City, Michael Ward, both Len and police chief Brian Irons were colluding with the Umbrella Corporation and causing Raccoon City to happen. I think we can get him in on the action, with Echo 6. Squad Echo number 6. This is a group of idiots. They usually don't accept discipline, disobey military orders, and dare to do anything. The officer next to him hesitated. But they are also the best soldiers in the Delta Force. If they can't do it, then I don't know which other troops can do it. Colonel Miller said sharply, "Let the Echo 6 go immediately and bring Lin Su. Be careful to protect him, don't let him die. In addition, let the Delta Force deploy a few more teams to cooperate with Echo 6 operations. Delta Force lost too much before, I'm afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. Tell them, even if the entire Delta dies, we must attack. If you don't want what happened in Raccoon City to repeat itself in other cities, then you must go." Colonel Miller's voice resounded loudly, "Investigate this incident thoroughly. Find the reason for the incident. There must be no mistakes." Meanwhile, inside Raccoon City City Hall, 4 or 5 experimenters hid in a remote office, whispering carefully. "Why did you bring us to the City Hall? Don't you know how dangerous it is?" An experimenter whispered. "Then what do you think? If you don't run here, why don't you stay outside and be eaten by the tide of corpses?" The speaker carefully opened a corner of the curtain, looking at the torrent of thousands of zombies on the street ahead. "I used to see in TV novels, I never felt that zombies are anything to be afraid of, but now I have actually experienced it once, only to realize that it is all nonsense." Chi Yu, Wu, a female experimenter, was sitting beside her, curled up into a ball and sobbing softly. "Don't cry." Another person growled, "Chi Yu is a good man. But he shouldn't think that he can kill 5 zombies by himself. In the end, he not only lost his life, but also put us in and killed us. Found by the corpses. If it wasn't for him, we would have been chased here." "Lei Chen, you are most familiar with the plot of Resident Evil, what should we do now?" said a big experimenter. A thin young man wearing glasses next to him thought for a while and said, "According to the timeline of the Resident Evil plot, the 26th and 27th are the worst times for the zombies to wreak havoc. Gradually calm down. But on the 26th and 27th, it was also the time when the various forces fought the most openly and secretly. Participating in it, one is the U.B.C.S unit, with about 120 members. We have seen them before. They don't know anything about what happened here, so it is not surprising that the whole army is destroyed in the end, so I suggest that you do not follow them. An Umbrella Corporation will send another unit at the same time, Umbrella Special Operations Force, U.S.S. They are not at the same level as U.B.C.S. And they are very aware of this what happened, and I know very well what I want to do here." "What are you doing?" asked the big man. "Kill people to silence and destroy evidence. They will kill everyone they see, and there is no doubt that they have this strength. You have also seen the system prompt that appeared on the screen on the 23rd, and more than 30 experimenters died. In the Raccoon City Research Institute, it was the U.S.S who did it." Lei Chen said, "And one of their targets is the City Hall. We saw just now that there are not many traces of gunshots in the City Hall, which means, the U.S.S hasn't been here yet. Then why don't we hide?" the big man said. "Hide. According to the plot, there will be a large group of B.O.Ws attacking the U.S.S here. Where can I hide?" Lei Chen looked at the people around him, and wanted to tell the story he knew, but he didn't do so. He just nodded slowly, and said in a deep voice, "This is the only way, hide." While he was talking, his eyes kept on looking at the wall. and if he extended his sight, the direction he was looking at was the direction where Chen Yuyan and the others were temporarily hiding. Wait a minute. Where's Yan Weiqiang? He hasn't contacted us since just now? An experimenter asked suddenly. Isn't he letting the wind out in the corner outside? Go and see. Wait a minute. Don't go out. If he is still alive, how could he not contact us? Is he dead? Who did it? Zombies. If it was a zombie, would there be no sound at all? Everyone glanced at each other, and emotions of incomparable panic gradually spread among them. There are 6 people hiding in the office on the east side of the 2nd floor of the city hall, and I killed one who was standing guard outside. Victor's deep voice came from the communication. Find the supplies we dropped? Rupier asked. Not yet. Then you stand by first. Delta team, enter the city hall and kill those people first. Looper ordered firmly. The U.S.S team immediately turned into 6 black shadows, quickly crossed the street and entered the city hall. Their speed is extremely fast, and they don't make too much footsteps. They quickly approached the office from 3 directions, while the ghost found the commanding heights and took out the SV-98 sniper rifle to aim. Chenyu Yanchong was at the front, his heart was extremely peaceful. Experimenter, since you have encountered it, kill it. Maybe you are innocent, but I'm sorry, because now I want to achieve my own purpose, and I will never allow others to disturb me. On his right hand, the Yaksha's tattoo seemed to be warming slightly. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 55. 55 Strange Supernatural Beings. Boom. Beltway kicked open the office door, almost at the same time he had shrunk back and dropped a flash bomb. Da-da-da-da. A series of bullets instantly hit the place where he was standing just now. Swish. The flash bomb exploded in an instant, and high-frequency sound waves and strong flashes immediately filled the entire office. Boom. Ghost shot. An experimenter who was hit by a flash bullet just as he emerged was immediately headshot. Oh, a woman's exclamation came from inside. He 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 he. Beltway smiled dully, picked up a shotgun and pointed it at an experimenter who was blinded in the room and shot twice. The person who was hit was immediately sent flying by the powerful impact of the shotgun. However, at this moment, only 2 black shadows were seen rushing out from the left and the right. Their speed was so fast that they even ran a few steps on the wall. In a blink of an eye, he ran out from the other side of the office. Chasing. Looper yelled, and she quickly followed one of them. Whoosh. Chen Yuyan raised his silenced MP-5 submachine gun while running wildly, and fired continuously. The experimenter in front kept changing directions, slippery like a water snake. That person rushed all the way to the 3rd floor of the city hall, and Chen Yuyan pursued him closely. His running speed was also extremely fast. After his body was strengthened, he was several times faster than ordinary people, but that person seemed to be specialized in agility. Chen Yu was not slow in coming to the banquet. Chen Yuyan fired a few more shots, and the ghost also fired a shot and missed. At this moment, Chen Yuyan looked up at the surrounding terrain, dropped his submachine gun and drew out his Gurkha saber, ran towards the side for a few steps, stepped on the railing with one foot, then jumped up and grabbed the chandelier in the central hall. This super luxurious chandelier hung from the 5th floor to the 2nd floor. After Chen Yuyan hung it up, he swung a knife and cut off a sling, and the chandelier tilted down immediately, leading him to draw an arc and catch up with the man from the outside in an instant. Bang kick. Chen Yuyan kicked him to the ground, but saw that he was a Chinese man in his 20s. He turned his head to see Chen Yuyan, but only saw the gas mask that Chen Yuyan was wearing that looked like an elephant's trunk. He panicked and said in a trembling voice, forgive me. Puff. Chen Yuyan's answer was to directly stab her through the back of the heart. He stood up and saw Looper wrestling with a big man on the other side. That big man was so strong that he could punch a hole in the marble railing with one punch. But it's useless, there was a sneer on the corner of Chen Yuyan's mouth. The gap between professional and amateur lies here. Maybe you are powerful, but for the U.S., which has long been trained to be a killing machine, it's like a fitness trainer fighting a professional killer. Death is the only ending. What's more, everyone in the U.S. is the elite among the elites. In the army, this kind of person is generally called the king of soldiers. Sure enough, the big man lasted less than half a minute at most, before being hit by Looper's joints continuously, and then he swayed off his center of gravity, and the dagger directly pierced the back of his neck. Plop! The body of the big experimenter fell to the ground, making a dull sound. The U.S. Delta team assembled and came to the office. One person is missing. Victor said in a low voice. We killed 4 in total, but 5 people were here just now. Looper also said. It's impossible for him to run away. When I was upstairs, I did see the heat signal of 5 people inside, but I don't see it now. Ghost said. At this moment, a faint voice suddenly came from Chen Yuyan's ear. Tell them not to kill me, I know all the detailed plots of the Resident Evil series, and I will be of great use to you. Chen Yuyan's heart moved slightly, then he raised his hand and said, wait a minute, I found him. This guy is interesting, don't kill him yet. Where is he? Victor asked. I'm here, a timid voice came, and then everyone looked at the place where the voice was, and there was a thin young man standing there. Wearing a pair of glasses, disheveled hair, and carrying a backpack, he looks like a timid student. Huh. Spectre snorted coldly, raised his gun and was about to fire, but was held down by Rupier. Listen to what he said first. Looper said, while looking at Chen Yuyan, which meant that it was for his sake. My name is Lei Chen. I am a supernatural person. One of my abilities is to make people around me invisible. It is not invisible, but even though I am standing here, even if you see me you will also ignore my existence subconsciously. That's why you can't see me after entering the office. The young man said respectfully. Haha, interesting. Looper nodded, continue. Lei Chen glanced at Chen Yuyan again, and said, I have another ability, that is, I can often see clips of future events. For example, I saw what happened in Raccoon City a few months ago. I also saw that in the early morning of October 1st, the US government will launch a nuclear bomb to destroy Raccoon City. Ha 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 ha, are you a fool? Labor and capital see this kind of film every day on the street. Ha 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 ha. Beltway laughed loudly. Hector Cives, 28 years old, codenamed Beltway, specialty, blasting. He used to serve in the U.S. Army Engineering Corps, but was forced to retire because he caused an explosion accident. Lei Chen said suddenly. Beltway froze, and then grinned grinningly, it's interesting, boy, you can even investigate me. As he spoke, he yanked the bolt of the shotgun, walked over and lifted Lei Chen up. Lei Chen didn't struggle, but just looked at Chen Yuyan. Okay, let him down. You also know that ordinary people can't find your information. After speaking, he turned to Lei Chen and said coldly, don't tell us these things, we need someone who can really buy your life. Information. If not, then don't blame us for being rude, I will throw you directly into the pile of zombies. Beltway threw Lei Chen to the ground. Lei Chen held back the pain and didn't cry out. After a few seconds, he calmed down and said, I saw some clips about your future. Your first task is to go to the city hall to destroy the evidence of Umbrella Corporation. The second task will be to destroy the power supply of Raccoon City, and the third task will be to activate a Super B.O.W called the Tracker. Also, you will encounter a large number of lickers in the city hall, and set this trap the man named Nikolai Genovayev. He is the inspector of U.B.C.S. He said a long series of words in one breath. Then why should we trust you? Looper asked coldly. I won't be so stupid as to fool you with what will happen in a few minutes. What will happen? You can leave me alive for a while and let me follow. Believe me, what I know is very useful to you, great use. At least it can help you have a bigger bargaining chip to survive in this hell on earth. I will try my best to keep up with you, and my ability can also prevent me from becoming a burden to you. I also want to survive, Lei Chen said loudly. Looper turned to look at Chen Yuyan and said, You know him? No, I don't know him. But I believe what he said, nothing else, just a kind of intuition. Chen Yuyan said with a faint smile. Then follow us. Don't delay, and don't make small moves. Tell us everything you know about the city hall. Bertha, keep an eye on him. If there is anything abnormal about him, kill him immediately. Looper ordered. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 56. 56 Nikolai Genoviev. Anyway, we have to hurry up now. The gunshots just now attracted some zombies. Looking out of the window, a small part of the group of corpses that were attracted before has begun to turn towards the city hall. Come here slowly. Move immediately. Go to the server on the basement floor, where all the file data in the city hall are stored. Looper beckoned, and the Delta team immediately walked out of the office and ran downstairs. The server on the basement floor is located on the west side of the underground parking lot. Four eyes ran while checking the electronic map in the personal terminal. There is no living person inside. Ghost said slowly. He. Beltway kicked open the iron door with a bang, and several zombies rushed forward in front of him. He laughed and slammed it hard, knocking the 3 zombies out immediately. His strength is more than 3 times stronger than that of ordinary people, even zombies cannot withstand the impact of his bull. Chen Yuyan and the others also rushed into the room immediately, firing a burst of silenced MP-5 submachine guns in their hands, knocking down all the other zombies inside. Then they separated a few ways and began to clear the fish that slipped through the net in the room. Chen Yuyan rushed directly into the inner corner of the room, only to see 3 zombies eating a broken corpse. His face was expressionless, and he took 1 step forward. All 30 rounds of bullets were fired, smashing the 3 zombies into a sieve. He looked around and said lightly, cleaning up. Cleaned up. Cleaning is complete. Communications from members of the Delta team also came from other directions. Lei Chen stayed outside the door, but through his special ability, he could also feel that there were at least 20 zombies in the room. But in front of the U.S., it was all cleaned up in less than a minute. Everyone in this team may not be as strong as the experimenters in the Silver Group, but the combat power they have exploded out of their cooperation is definitely second to none in Raccoon City at present. That's why when he noticed that there was an extra experimenter in the U.S. team, he made up his mind to hug this thigh. Although he has some strange abilities, none of them are related to combat. If he wants to survive, it is impossible to follow the panic-stricken experimenter team. He can only gamble. Now it seems that he made the right bet. The strength of the U.S. is indeed extremely powerful. Command, we have entered the server room of the City Hall and are about to destroy all the servers inside. Looper turned on the communicator and said, but kept his eyes on the ghost. The ghost nodded slightly, raised his hand and pressed a button. Immediately, there was a burst of electric current in everyone's communication, and the voice of the company's senior executives at the headquarters also became intermittent. Very good. As soon as possible, bad data. What's going on? Is the communication interrupted? Command. We are destroying data. It seems that there is an unknown source of electromagnetic radiation in the computer room, Looper said pretendingly, while giving Chunyuan and others a wink. At this time, Four Eyes had come to a server and began to copy the data inside. After Mocha's death, Xian became the technical leader of the team. This girl not only has rich knowledge in virology, but also has a strong combat effectiveness, and is even very proficient in computer technology. This is an all-rounder, able to do everything. Chunyuan looked around, and now she is busy in front of a server. This bent posture just outlines her beautiful figure. Well, it's really capable. Chunyuan made a conclusion in his mind. Soon, the data was copied by Four Eyes into an encrypted USB flash drive that had been prepared long ago. She made a gesture, then raised her pistol and hit the server host with sparks. Chunyuan and the others also shot one after another, destroying all the servers here. The next target was Mayor Michael Warren's office, on the 4th floor. The Delta team quickly ran upstairs. When they passed the 1st floor, they only heard crackling noises. Some zombies broke through the glass and crawled in. Time is running out. They ignored the slowly walking zombies and ran all the way. However, when walking through the 3rd floor, the door of a meeting room next to it suddenly opened, and a middle-aged soldier with silver hair and a green military uniform and a gray belt walked out. He has a burly figure and a stern face, with dark eyes, and a scar on his face makes him look extremely fierce. After seeing the Delta team, he was stunned, and then walked over. "Be careful. He's Nikolai Genovaev. He's coming for you." Lei Chen, who activated his ability at the side without being noticed, whispered. Chunyuan and the others immediately pointed their guns at him. Looper asked, "You are from U.B.C.S, why are you here?" "I belong to U.B.C.S, the captain of Team B of Team D, Nikolai Genovaev. It's me who should be asking the question. Why didn't I know that the company actually sent the U.S.S here? Aren't you all? Will the driver be moved only when the situation is out of control?" Nikolai Genovaev asked with a smile. "You don't deserve to know what we're here for." Bertha replied coldly. He, that's right. After all, you are the superior USS, you are the strongest armed force of the company, precious treasure. Nikolai mocked. "That would be very interesting. Why don't you give us a reason not to kill you?" Bertha snorted coldly, stepped forward, and the muzzle of the MP-5 submachine gun almost hit his chest. However, Nikolai raised his hands very cooperatively, with a sneer of disdain on his face. "Do you think I dare not kill you?" Bertha was so angry that she was about to pull the trigger. "Wait a minute. You can't kill him," the ghost finally said. He stepped forward and grabbed Bertha's muzzle. "He is an inspector in UBCS. He is directly responsible to the company's senior management. You tell me your purpose here." The last sentence he asked was directed at Nikolai. Nikolai showed a ferocious smile at Bertha, and then turned around and said, "Me? There is no purpose. Our B team was chased here by the corpses, and we had no choice but to come in and hide. What does U.B.C.S want from you? Is there any well-equipped U.S.S that can't be compared? But there are also many zombies in the city hall, and my team members are all dead. Now, before the zombies surround this place again, I plan to leave as soon as possible. It shouldn't hinder you, right? Ah, then you can go. Although I won't kill you now, those zombies will do it for me soon." Bertha said coldly, obviously not at odds with Nikolai. "I wish you all a good time," Nikolai said with a pretentious gesture, and then jumped directly from the stairs. The members of the Delta team looked at each other, and Looper said, "Ghost, you mean to say that there are also people in U.B.C.S who secretly monitor those soldiers? Just like you monitor us, right? Do you think the top management of the company will trust us without reservation? After all, a company is a company, which is different from a country. Whether it is U.B.C.S or RU.S.S, the only bond of loyalty is money. It is natural for companies not to trust us. Spectre answer. That's right, even you, the inspector of the USS, didn't you betray the company? Beltway smiled heartlessly. The ghost glanced at him sharply, but did not speak. Thank you for the 200 starting point coins that you can reward by telling the truth. Thank you for the reward of 100 starting coins from Huguang Angel. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 57. 57 Death Trap. Enough. Now is not the time to talk about this. Ghosts are our comrades in arms, in the past, and in the future. And, no matter what, the company is still our biggest reliance in Raccoon City. Shut up. Looper said sharply. Chun Yuyan also felt that Beltway's actions might cause a split in the team, so he changed the topic and asked the ghost, "Ghost, don't we have a signal for the supplies we dropped?" The ghost was quite open-minded, and immediately put Beltway's words aside, and replied, "There is no signal. It stands to reason that the positioning device we installed on the supply box can send signals within a range of 1 kilometer. And, Mother Wolf, you those who have been approached also report that their airdrops have not gone wrong. It's almost impossible to break it, so it's broken, man-made." Chen Yuyan frowned. It's impossible for zombies to destroy the positioning device. They can only be survivors in the city. They couldn't open the box, so they used guns to destroy it. Of course, the box cannot be destroyed, but it is still possible to destroy the positioning system, said the ghost. We still have some consumption so far. We need to complete the task first, and then look for it. Looper waved his hand. Everyone came to the door of the mayor's office on the 4th floor. Lei Chen said from behind, "You should believe me, Nikolai Genovayev has set up a trap to deal with you. What good does it do him to deal with us? Also, how do we know that you are not in collusion with him? After all, you were all hiding in the city hall before?" Looper asked back. Lei Chen sighed softly, "Since you don't believe me, I won't say more. But you have to pay attention to the attacks of a large number of lickers. You should know what a licker is, right?" "Of course I know. A primary mutant is the product of the secondary mutation of the T-virus infected person. It is very likely that it has mutated independently. They have well-developed claws and can easily climb walls. They have a long tongue and can use to hunt. In fact, the company is thinking about artificially intervening in the mutation of the lickers, as AB.O.W mass-produced." Four Eyes said. "Since you know it, then take care of yourself. Whether I can survive this attack is entirely up to you. I hope you can realize my value." After Lei Chen finished speaking, he entered the kind of not being accepted by others. The state of noticing disappeared from everyone's perception. Beltway muttered, "Why did I meet this kind of weirdo today?" As he spoke, he walked forward and kicked the office door open with a bang. "Be careful." Chen Yuyan blurted out. He was worried that Nikolai would set a trap here. However, Beltway stood there unscathed, and there were no traps in the mayor's office. Beltway made a gesture of invitation to everyone, and said pretendingly, "Come on. Welcome everyone, come into the death trap." Ha 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 ha. Bertha also went in and looked around in the office, trying to find some evidence of collusion between Mayor Michael Warren and Umbrella Corporation to destroy. Seeing that there was really no movement inside, Looper was also relieved, and was about to enter when Lei Chen shouted loudly from the side, "Wait a minute. No. Don't you guys smell a strange smell in the air?" "Smell?" Chen Yuyan was startled suddenly, and hurriedly said, "Everyone come back. Get out of the room. There is a problem here." "Yes. Smell." Everyone in the U.S.S Delta team is equipped with gas masks, which are air filtered, and unless it is a very strong smell, they can't smell it at all. There is no doubt that this is a death trap carefully targeted at their Delta Squad. The Four Eyes reacted very quickly, and immediately took out the instrument for testing. When she saw the result, even she cried out, "It's a modified pheromone. It's a substance specially designed to attract attacks from B.O.Ws with low IQs." However, it was already a step too late, only to hear a sharp and hoarse roar suddenly coming from the surroundings. Immediately afterwards, there was a rustling sound from the entire City Hall building, as if nails were hitting the wall. This burst of sound is very dense. "Liquor! It's a liquor!" Lei Chen yelled. Rupier was not in trouble. She immediately commanded, "Beltway and Bertha have pheromones on them, come to the middle of the queue. Evacuate here immediately. Also, Beltway, destroy the office with incendiary bombs." "How dare the grass mud horse hum me?" Beltway roared angrily, took out 2 thermite grenades and threw them into the mayor's office. There was a bang, the flames shot into the sky, the thermite burned rapidly to generate extremely high temperatures, and the office was decorated with elegant solid wood furniture, which was completely ignited immediately. No matter what was in it, evidence or information, it will be burned. "Give me a gun. I can help too," Lei Chen said loudly. "Shut up and follow." Looper snapped. At this time, there was only a bang, the glass of the window next to it was shattered, and 2 terrifying monsters crawled in. This kind of monster is like a person whose skin has been peeled off, and the entire brain is exposed, and the hands have been completely mutated into long claws, which are more than half a meter long. "It's a liquor." Boom! Boom! Chen Yuyan fired immediately. He took out the Saiga-12 shotgun and knocked one of the liquors to the ground with one shot. However, the liquor's vitality was extremely tenacious, and he stood up as soon as he turned over, his head flicked violently, and his long tongue shot out, and suddenly wrapped around the wrists of the Four Eyes next to him. Chen Yuyan drew out the Gurkha saber and chopped off the liquor's tongue, and at the same time shot it in the head again. Boom! This shot hit the liquor's exposed brain, and the brain was immediately smashed. However, at this time, liquors kept crawling in from outside the window, and the number quickly exceeded 10. As soon as they rushed in, they crawled around towards the walls and ceilings, and then waited for an opportunity to descend from the sky to launch a killing blow. "Don't fight! Get back! Stay away from the windows!" Looper kept shooting down a liquor, and at the same time suddenly a tongue fell from the sky and entangled the MP-5 in her hand, slamming the gun to the other side. Go! Looper reacted in an instant, erroneously dodging a liquor's claws, and at the same time took the other Fama's assault rifle off his back from his back, and shot a series of bursts to kill a liquor immediately. Boom! Chen Yuyan also seized the opportunity and threw 2 grenades. After 2 violent explosions, the liquors on both sides of the corridor were temporarily forced back. But now there are more than 20 liquors entering the town hall building. This is a desperate number. Have no idea how these liquors got here. Everyone ran downstairs immediately, but when they reached the 2nd floor, they suddenly found that hundreds of zombies had poured into the 1st floor. And there are already zombies climbing up the stairs. Bastard! The 1st floor is blocked. We should find a strong room and get rid of those liquors first. Beltway said loudly. No. This will definitely kill you. We should rush down. Lei Chen yelled. Stinky boy. I haven't settled with you yet, and you have ordered me first. Tell me. Did you set up this trap? Beltway was upset and yelled at Lei Chen. Enough. Listen to him, let's break out from the 1st floor. Looper snapped. That's suicide. Retorted Beltway. No. It's not suicide. Zombies move slowly, as long as the number doesn't reach too much, they can't stop us. Instead, they will block the path of those liquors. If we wait a little longer on the 2nd floor, The zombies will be more and more. The more there are, the more we will surely die. Chen Yuyan went up and punched Beltway on the chest. Calm down. The more flustered we are, the less chance we have of surviving. Although Victor on the other side did not speak, he showed his attitude with actions. He rushed to the stairs, kicked 2 zombies down the stairs, and smashed all the other zombies climbing up, like dominoes falling down one after another. Taking advantage of this opportunity, everyone immediately ran downstairs. Please. Take me. I can't keep up. Lei Chen shouted. Chen Yuyan didn't think much, walked over and grabbed him, carried him on his back, and ran down towards the first floor full of zombies. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 58. 58 Get Out of Trouble. The zombies on the street outside are still pouring into the first floor of the city hall, and there are already hundreds of zombies crowded in the hall. With Lei Chen on his back, Chen Yuyan pushed away the zombies that were rushing towards him, and then took the opportunity to keep moving forward. Don't kill these zombies. Push them away. Lei Chen shouted. At the critical juncture, the members of the Delta team did not hesitate any longer. They began to change their combat tactics, pushing away the zombies instead of shooting them to the head. Hiss! The hoarse roar of the lickers continued to be heard from the ceiling and the wall. Even on the wall, they moved like flying, and their sharp claws pierced the wall, very stable. All I saw was a licker's limbs exerted force suddenly, like a spring popping out, and it rushed towards Beltway's head. Beltway pushed the 2 zombies away, and the licker collided with the zombies with a plop. Its sharp claws penetrated deeply into the zombie's body, and it couldn't be pulled out for a while. In desperation, the licker yelled and kept rolling on the ground. However, there were too many zombies around. Not only was it unable to get up under the crowding, it was also trampled on a few times. The licker was finally furious. It roared loudly, and with its claws slashed, it tore the zombie in half. It didn't let go of its hatred, and it started killing among the zombies. Lei Chen's strategy was very effective. The U.S. Delta team mixed into the crowd of corpses, making the attack method of the lickers falling from the sky no longer effective, and most of them were blocked by the zombies. And when they fell to the ground, because their claws couldn't grip the smooth tiles, their crawling speed was even slower than that of zombies, not to mention that there were countless zombies blocking the way. However, this strategy can only be achieved by the U.S., whose physical fitness is against the sky. If it is replaced by other people, let alone push away these zombies, I am afraid that they will be torn apart by the corpses. They rushed out of the city hall, only to see a large number of zombies on the street outside starting to move towards this side, and they all came towards Bertha and Beltway. Countless pairs of rotten and dilapidated hands reached out to grab them, and then they were kicked away. After that, the zombies got up and continued to rush over without stopping. 4 eyes. How long does that modified pheromone last? Chen Yuyan asked loudly. The remodeled pheromone can't survive in the air for too long, it will dissipate in at most 10 minutes. He said, looking at the electronic watch on his wrist. If you calculate the time that the pheromone stays in the mayor's office after it is released, there should be 2 minutes left. Beltway. Set up an explosive trap and detonate it in 2 minutes. Looper said loudly. Beltway quickly set up the timed fuse, and 2 or 3 zombies savagely rushed into the road and threw a bomb into the bottom of a car on the side of the road. Boom! He also excitedly dubbed the bomb. However, his joy lasted for at most 2 seconds, and a zombie slammed down on his back, biting crazily, but the zombie's teeth were as useless to the special explosion-proof combat uniform on Beltway's body. No effect. With a roar, Beltway threw the zombie out, colliding with a licker who happened to pounce on it. Listen to me, according to the system, the highest level of experimenters in the silver group will appear in this system. According to my previous experience, there will not be many such experimenters, but they will definitely have a considerable impact on the promotion of the plot. Important influence. Now I only know that there are 3 junior experimenters of the Silver Group, sisters Ling Yu and Ling Xiao, who have been saving civilians near the police station. The protagonist of 2. There is also a junior experimenter of the Silver Group named Huang Xian, who is instigating the experimenters to enter the underground research institute of Umbrella Corporation to get more benefits, Lei Chen said at the Chenyu banquet. He whispered in his ear. Chenyu Yan didn't speak, just kicked a zombie away, and at the same time fired the Saiga-12 shotgun in his hand to clear a path ahead. You have to listen carefully to the next words. According to my judgment, there must be a 4th beginner experimenter of the Silver Group in Umbrella Company. And his status in the company is definitely not low. You should be considered he is a top player in the Bronze Group, but even if he is only in the U.S., it is hard to imagine where the mysterious Silver Group experimenter is and what he is planning. Lei Chen said. Chenyu Yan was shocked. This coincided with his previous judgment. When they entered the Raccoon City Research Institute before, the mysterious order to prevent them from joining Hank's Alpha team made him feel a little wrong. Judging from Lei Chen's words now, maybe there is really a black hand behind the scenes stirring up everything. Don't talk, I know you must want to ask what the purpose of the Silver Group experimenter is. What I can tell you is that in his position, it is very simple to obtain the T-virus sample and data, and it only takes time to get the G-virus sample. Problem. However, behind this there is another precious thing that is easily overlooked, that is B.O.W's actual combat data. In the plot of Resident Evil, whether it is the supervillain Albert Wesker or Nikolai Genoviev, the focus of their competition is always on this. Because without these actual combat data, all B.O.W research and development are all castles in the air. No matter how many theories you put forward, it is not as good as a practical test. In reality, where is the opportunity to give you a practical test B.O.W? That's why the Raccoon City incident was used by the company's top management to collect actual combat data, leading the way for the next generation of formal B.O.W development. Lei Chen's tone became heavy. However, many people have overlooked this thing hidden behind the Raccoon City incident in the 2nd and 3rd generations of Resident Evil. In fact, maybe the G-virus sample is very important, but in the eyes of people like Wesker, the actual combat data is the most important. And if my guess is correct, the experimenter of the Silver Group hidden in the upper echelon of Umbrella Company wants to take all the experimenters who enter this world. After obtaining the actual combat data, he can return to his own world to develop an army of biological and chemical weapons completely aimed at the experimenters. Then what about me? Chenyu Yan asked briefly. You and the U.S. are just a knife. The knife used to clean up those disobedient experimenters, in the end, will also be a knife to sharpen the B.O.W in his hand. Lei Chen said in a deep voice. Chenyu Yan was silent. He also had his own judgment and plans for the things here. But if there is really a high-level experimenter at the top of the company, then indeed many things need to be reconsidered. Boom. With a loud noise, the bomb set by Beltway suddenly exploded. The explosion ignited the fuel tank of the car, and countless burning gasoline sprayed everywhere, completely turning the surrounding tens of meters into a sea of flames. Hundreds of zombies were completely swallowed by the explosion. The other zombies around were also attracted by the loud noise and flames of the explosion, and began to turn around and walk towards the explosion, walking into the fire like moths to a flame, and then burned to ashes. Boom. Looper knocked open the door of a residential house, and everyone filed in. After quickly cleaning up the zombies in the house, they could finally sit down and rest. Beltway took off his gas mask, took out a bottle of water and gulped it down. Now I estimate that the supply box we airdropped at the city hall was controlled by Nikolai Genoviev. He blocked the navigation signal so that we could not get the supply. Ghost said. Our ammunition consumption is very high. We have to go to the next supply point and find the box. It is impossible for Nikolai to know all of our airdrop locations. There are always supplies that can be found. Looper also took off his mask and wiped his face, said while sweating on the face. However, Chen Yuyan felt a little heavy in his heart, and he had some ominous premonition. Because of the things he can think of, the experimenter of the Silver Group who hides behind the scenes can also think of it. In other words, the opponent may have really controlled other supply boxes in advance. Thank you for the 2000 starting point coins rewarded by the Star Sea Rangers. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 59. 59 New BOW. The members of the Delta team drank some water in this room, ate some compressed biscuits to replenish their strength, and then began to sort out the remaining ammunition. The situation was not optimistic. We won't be able to support the next battle like the one in the city hall, Victor said. Looper's face was not very good. She connected to the communication and said, Headquarters, this is the U.S. Delta team. We have cleared the city hall, destroyed the computer room and the mayor's office inside. But we have been attacked by a large number of lickers. The origin of these lickers is very suspicious. I hope you will investigate. Christine Henry's voice came, clean up. Then why did the report I received say that a living person escaped from the city hall? Looper glanced at Lei Chen, and said, we met a U.B.C.S captain named Nikolai Genovaev, and we didn't kill him. Why not kill him? He entered the city hall, and he may also get evidence against the company. Henry roared sharply. But he's a captain. Phantom also said in the communication. His statement was actually implying that Nikolai was the inspector. I don't care who he is. As long as he has entered the city hall, no one can stay. Nikolai Genovaev, I know his past, but now, he is also going to die. Henry's voice was extremely vicious. You once again proved that you are a bunch of trash. U.S. Haven't you figured out the situation yet? In Raccoon City, no one can be left alive. We understand. Rupiah replied lightly. Henry said viciously, then listen to me. Now that the US military has sent another group of special forces into Raccoon City, you must not let them find any information related to the company. They must not be able to live alone. Go back. The survivors in the city are living so comfortably now. Go to the power station immediately and cut off the city's power supply for me. Delta team received. Looper still replied blankly, and then hung up the communication directly. Then she took a deep breath, glanced at everyone's faces, and said slowly, you heard it too, the next mission is to destroy the power station. Fortunately, we also airdropped a material box at the power station. You can get supplies there. When she was speaking, her eyes stopped at Chen Yuyan for a moment. At this time, Lei Chen raised his hand and said, can I say something? Go ahead. Rupiah nodded. If you just go to the power station like this, there is a high probability that you still won't find the supply box. Lei Chen said. What do you mean? Looper asked with a dark face. I am not the only one who can see the fragment of the future. I can know that your first mission is to go to the city hall, and the second mission is to go to the power station, so maybe other people will be able to see it. Moreover, we in the eyes of other survivors, it is the dog of the company, and it is the target of everyone. Once someone incites a little, then those people will attack us, and this place is no bigger than the power station. All right. In other words, if you go to the power station now, your whereabouts will also fall into the eyes of interested people, who will use the supply boxes to create problems for you. Lei Chen said. A lot of people can see fragments of the future? Ridiculous. And if that's the case, what's your value to us? Looper snorted coldly. My value to you is that I can give you appropriate advice. And the clips I have seen are definitely more and more detailed than others. Lei Chen said pointedly, our problem now is, if we want to cut off the power, it is equivalent to cutting off the life of those people, so those who are interested will take advantage of this opportunity to gather the survivors and form an army. Hee, it's just a group of civilians, so there's nothing to worry about. Beltway sneered. No, I think you really need to worry about it. Lei Chen said lightly, because many of the survivors were singled out, and their skills were not much worse than yours, but they lacked some experience and cooperation. The absolute difference in numbers can fully make up for this. Chen Yuyan frowned and asked, then what suggestion do you have? Lei Chen glanced at Looper, then looked at Chen Yuyan and continued, I suggest we change our target. The task is there, what to change? Looper said. We should be able to do it while we still have some value in the eyes of the company's top management. And most importantly, we can add a powerful ally to ourselves. Lei Chen said. Go on, said Rupier. Tracker. One of the most mature and powerful B.O.Ws of this company is now stored in a secret warehouse in Raccoon City. The high-level executives just want to activate this B.O.W to hunt down the Special Operations Team S.T.A.R.S of the Raccoon City Police Department who has the key evidence. We can apply to start the tracker first, and then talk about the power outage. Lei Chen said. At this time, Four Eyes quietly moved to Chen Yuyan's side, exhaled like blue, and whispered, I know the tracker, this is the research direction of the company's European branch, and they tend to use Ne-alpha parasites as the control center. Let B.O.W have high intelligence, but it is prone to unknown mutations. The North American branch is more inclined to use T-virus variants to manufacture B.O.W, because the B.O.W produced in this way will be more stable. Chen Yuyan thought for a while, then leaned over and whispered, I remember you used the Ne-alpha parasite to control those berserk zombies before, so can you rewrite the tracker's program so that it can be used by us? He and Xian are very close now, the two of them are almost close together. Xian also took off the gas mask, the fierce battle before made some sweat on her short black hair, mixed with the Gucci perfume on her body together, it becomes an intoxicating taste. If there is enough equipment in that warehouse, I think I can try it. Four Eyes was not distracted like Chen Yuyan, she just wanted to discuss it with a trustworthy person. Then why did you tell me this quietly? Chen Yuyan asked. Because I think you may also be able to see some future fragments. Do you really believe the nonsense that man said? I didn't believe it at first, but this is my intuition. You are different from others. A woman's intuition is terrible, Chen Yuyan's mouth twitched as he thought about it. On the other side, Looper has recontacted the company's senior management and asked for instructions. We have received information that a considerable number of survivors are concentrated in the power station, and they may become obstacles to our mission. Now we are short of ammunition and need to find a place to resupply and need more support. Henry was silent for a while, and said, Umbrella has a secret B.O.W warehouse, you can go there to get supplies. In addition, there is a newest B.O.W in the warehouse, which is the highest of our Paris Research Institute. A masterpiece, the product of the Nemesis project, Tracker. Started, its default program is to hunt down all S.T.A.R.S members. It can ensure that no one who meddles in their own business will be left behind. Clear. Okay, I'll upload the coordinates of the warehouse right now. I'll give you everything I have to give you. You'd better not let me down. Henry said heavily. Thank you for the reward of 1,000 starting coins from Chuangshang Wang. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 60. 60 Wall of Death. Delta Team plus Lei Chen, a total of 8 people ran wildly on the narrow street. This place should be a corner of a pedestrian street in a residential area, but now it has already become a slaughterhouse of blood and flesh. Everyone's military leather boots stepped on the ground, and the countless broken glass shards made a rattling sound, and occasionally stepped on those broken bones and rotten meat, and made a disgusting sound of puffing. There were countless sundries scattered on the ground, including clothes, everyday items, and even many half-burned banknotes. Suitcases were everywhere, some were knocked open, and the contents inside were scattered all over the place. On some suitcases, there were mutilated corpses lying on their stomachs. On the residential buildings on both sides, doors and windows have been nailed up with wooden boards in many places, which is obviously the last effort of people to survive after the disaster broke out. Opposite is a dead end, and in some places on the wall, there are various words sprayed with eye-catching red paint, "Attention." The building next to it is full of dead people. "God has abandoned us, don't open this door. My name is John, remember my name." Boom. 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 From time to time, there was a knocking sound from the boarded-up doors and windows of the nearby apartment building, but obviously no one thought it was a survivor inside. Pale, blood-stained fingers protruded from the cracks in the boards, scratching vigorously around. When the end comes, everyone is weak and helpless, but they also try their best to survive in their own way. In every detail around them, we can see people's efforts in the face of this terrible disaster. Just like the corpse next to the wall that fell down by the wall, clasped the wall tightly with both hands, and even dug the red brick wall with bloody digging marks, seeing his wide open mouth, maybe at the last moment, he's still struggling to let out the final roar, trying to cross this wall of death. Climb over this wall, and then go forward 500 meters to the secret warehouse. Looking at the electronic map with 4 eyes, he said. "Let's go." Chen Yuyan stepped onto the wall with a stride, ran up 2 steps by virtue of inertia, then grabbed the top of the wall and easily climbed up the 3-meter-high brick wall. However, he immediately stopped, raised his hand and clenched his fist, motioning for everyone to stop. On the other side of the wall, hundreds of zombies gathered impressively. They were crowded together, constantly pushing against the wall. At the other end of the alleyway, a large number of trash cans and sundries were piled up as a roadblock. There were also many bullet casings on the ground. Obviously this was also the last bastion of the survivors. In addition to being astonished, Chen Yuyan couldn't help but glanced at the corpse under the other wall. He may have thought until his death that if he could climb over this wall, he would be able to escape. There are hundreds of zombies here. 4 eyes, is there another way to go? Chen Yuyan whispered in the communication. Then we can only take a detour, and the distance will increase to 1.7 kilometers, Xian said, but at this moment, suddenly there was a crisp sound next to him. With a click, a wooden board sealing the door of an apartment building was broken. The other wooden blocks are also crumbling. More than a dozen blood-stained hands stretched out from inside. This building is surprisingly the one where someone wrote with red paint next to it that it is full of dead people. Looper's face changed, and he said, "Go. Break through the corpses over there. We can't take another detour." Everyone in Delta's team immediately began to climb over the wall, and Chen Yuyan jumped down first. Almost at the same time, several zombies raised their rotting hands and grabbed him. He drew out his Gurkha saber and slashed quickly, clearing an open space with a few strokes. However, the other zombies around were also attracted by the movement here, turned around and rushed over. At the same time, at the other end, Beltway carried Lei Chen on his shoulders and threw him against the wall. Looper, who was squatting on the wall, grabbed him and pulled him up. After the previous events, the members of the U.S. Delta team somewhat recognized Lei Chen. At this moment, the sound of clicking and clicking kept ringing. All the wooden blocks blocking the gates of the apartment building were destroyed. Countless zombies swarmed out from the apartment building. There were meaningless moanings from their mouths. In the nerve centers eroded by the virus, only the instinct of eating and spreading the virus remained, and they rushed towards the living things in front of them with all their strength. Boom! The muzzle of the shotgun in Beltway's hand sprayed out a long tongue of flame, and countless bullets scattered out, knocking down the few zombies running in the front immediately. However, the zombies behind were still pouring in like a tide, and those knocked down zombies didn't make any waves in the sea of corpses at all. Beltway hurriedly turned around and climbed the wall, but his left foot with the prosthetic limb was somewhat inconvenient. He was just a step slower, and he had already been caught by the zombies and dragged down. Beltway! Go help him! Looper shouted. She stood on the top of the wall and fired desperately at the zombies on Beltway's side. The Ghost and Bertha also climbed up the wall and fired in support, leaving only Chen Yuyan, 4i, and Victor are on the other side to eliminate the zombie group over there. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. The FAMA's assault rifle Looper was holding fired bursts of short bursts, and each shot could kill a zombie. However, there were too many zombies, and the three of them could only slightly slow down the time for the zombies to tear Beltway into pieces. Fortunately, Beltway's special explosion-proof combat uniform was super tough, otherwise he would have been torn to pieces by the zombies long ago. Chen Yuyan was extremely anxious. Shots had been fired from here, and the zombies in the distance were constantly rushing towards him, and the number was increasing. If this continues, everyone will die here. This is the chain reaction brought about by Lei Chen's oil bottle. How much water can be contained in a bucket depends on the shortest plank. Suddenly his heart brightened, and he quickly took off the 2 grenades hanging on his chest, and shouted upwards, "Mother Wolf! You come down first. I will blow up this wall. Beltway! Get away from the wall." The tacit understanding among the crowd was incomparable. Mother Wolf and the others immediately jumped off the wall, and at the same time threw all the last few grenades to Beltway, blowing up a large group of zombies. Beltway took the opportunity to push away the surrounding zombies and stayed a few meters away from the wall of death. Chen Yuyan quickly dug 2 holes in the ground, stuffed the grenade in, and yanked the tab off. A few seconds later, boom! A bang! The flames of the explosion mixed with countless fragments of bricks flew into the sky, and the walls were blown apart. Let's go. Four Eyes greeted loudly. She had already taken out the injection gun in her hand, stuffed a few syringes with Ne-alpha parasites and enhanced T-virus into the gun chamber, and then aimed at the strongest among the zombies. The hush 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 is a burst of precise bursts. I only saw those zombies suddenly raised their heads to the sky and screamed, and their bodies mutated at a speed visible to the naked eye. More and more muscle tissue, hands turned into sharp claws, and the tongue grew a lot, and a second mutation occurred, becoming a mutated creature between a licker and an ordinary zombie. Roar! Those berserk zombies immediately went on a killing spree among the corpses. Their mutated claws were so sharp that they could tear a zombie into pieces with just a few blows. However, although the zombies are not conscious, they will subconsciously fight back after being attacked. Countless zombies immediately rushed towards the berserk zombies and twisted into a ball. With these zombies as meat shields, everyone took the opportunity to open a road and rushed out. There were more and more zombies behind, and those violent zombies were torn to pieces by countless zombies within a few minutes. It's right in front. He pointed Four Eyes at an inconspicuous convenience store in front of him and shouted. The shutter door of the convenience store was still closed. Victor was the fastest. He rushed over and opened the rolling door, and even the lock on the ground was broken. The members of the Delta team entered in a single file. The broken looper shot out all the bullets in his assault rifle, broke all the legs of the zombies in front of him, slightly blocked the crowd of corpses, and then turned and entered the convenience store. Crash! Victor pulled down the shutter door, almost at the same time, only heard a bang. The rolling door was knocked into a large depression by countless zombies. "We're in the right place, aren't we?" Beltway gasped. "No, it's right here. Super B.O.W, the tracker, it's right below." Cian had already pushed open a shelf, and there was a secret door with a combination lock on the ground.